going to have a round of golf or playing tennis is a one-to-one. No.
Mhm. Well, let me just say, I'm not in the best of shape. Well, I mean, I do play on two tennis teams. I can't imagine talking while I'm playing tennis, catching my breath. Golf, maybe if you're in between going, but you can't really talk that much on the golf course either. So I would agree. You can have an activity around it, but use that, respect the time and the agenda for it, I think is a good point. You can't really stand in line and have a one-to-one while you're waiting, for something. So do you remember that podcast? I was going to pull that up as well. Let me find it. I'll look for it real quick. Power of One.
Yeah, because it was Tim's, it was the Power of One podcast.
Right. I'll find him. I'll find it. And, so what was the shocker in that podcast for you, Quentin?
Well, one of the things was in meeting with one of our members who actually was in my contact sphere, I noticed that he was a member of a particular business association. And I'm like, oh, how do you like that business association? He said, well, I'm the president. We're having an event. Why don't you come? So I went to kind of an after hours. I ended up finding someone who isn't a member of our group, but in our my contact sphere. And we ended up connecting and giving each other referrals. Mm-hmm. So I never would have known that had I not looked at, those forms. It's just like one example. Someone else, looked at my background because I've done quite a few things, and they said, oh, I was able to give them a referral in a whole other area. One of my other brought a deal that had nothing to do with what I did. I'm like, well, why are we talking about this? He said, because, you have an investment banking background, and I thought maybe you could help me with this. So, it brings opportunities that may be beyond your contact sphere that you're not even thinking about because you forgot the things you've done in the past. And
True.
And they're seeing it.
Well, and I see a challenge that popped up. So Teresa was saying she has an experience similar to someone else to say I ask pertinent questions for them to elaborate on, and it sounds like maybe their one-to-one is just focused on themselves. Maybe, Teresa, is that what you were outlining? And I think when we set up, and I even talked to our director consultants about this, because we're in a little bit of a quandary when someone says, hey, let's have a one-to-one. And so we think a one-to-one is a business strategy meeting in our minds. And they get in there and then they don't really talk about business, but they ask about, hey, can you help me with my weekly presentation, which is totally fine. And so that just reminds us all to set the expectation. And so I think really to keep that from happening, don't assume that they're going to follow the agenda, and don't assume that they know that this is supposed to be equal time. And you might even set it up to say, hey, Quentin, so we have time to cover my business and your business. Can we expand our time to an hour and a half so we each take 45 minutes? Or you could say, Quentin, this one-to-one, I really like to focus all on your business. So let's schedule an hour, and then can we go ahead and schedule another hour, another time for my business? So however you want to do that, and maybe set the stage, send a little bit of an agenda ahead of time to say, hey, why don't you, they don't bring a paper and pen to take notes. Yeah, that's true. I think if you are the note taker, I'm getting a bunch now. If you follow, and let me kind of get to our planner. If we follow this, so the first thing is scheduling them. I think sometimes we don't schedule them way in advance, and starting with, in our trainings, we say start with the people in your contact sphere. And by the way, the passport program is not necessarily a one-to-one. Some people combine it, and they extend the time, but that's a lot of time if they're going to go over what they're supposed to as intended in the passport program. So just keep in mind, if you're a newer member or meeting with a newer member, that you don't just roll it all in. Make sure you expand your time. So that's the schedule, right? So let me scroll down, and you can do a Google search to find these. They're also in the download section in BNI Connect. So we're going to set the time, pick the place, right? I would recommend doing it at someone's office. I'm a big foodie. I use every opportunity I can to have nice food with nice folks somewhere, but setting it up around an opportunity to meet other people, whether they come to you, you go to their office, or something. It's not the end of the world, and then having your gains done ahead of time. Now, having that in BNI Connect, have it all completed, so that you don't necessarily have the sheets. You can certainly print them and bring them, but the idea is that information is looked at and touched on ahead of time, so you can come to the meeting ready to work. It's not an interview. I used to think, well, this is silly. I just interview them, and this was years ago, and they were like, no, you're supposed to exchange it ahead of time. So this one is an old version, fax or email the sheets ahead of time. But technically, you can go into BNI Connect and look at their information. Now, that's if they've completed it. So you might even preface, when you're having a one-to-one, to set the stage set the expectations on what you'd like to be covering time-wise, but also say, hey, I went to look for your gains profile and I didn't see it completed. Here's the link to mine, or they can search for yours. But that, I think, look, for us to get the most out of our time together, let's make sure we utilize the gains worksheets. So you can look at it and let them know, and I'll pull it up. So it says to bring it with you, of course. This is really key as well, is to set one short-term goal or one long-term goal, and talk about working together on inviting people that you both could benefit from. So that's just one. So the bio sheet, of course, is in there. The gains is beneficial, like you said, to get to know people, but it will also help you uncover commonalities for each other. And we generally recommend to talk about your personal goals and your professional goals, your personal accomplishments, professional accomplishments, and so on. And then the contact sphere sheet, I think a lot of folks skip over this part. We don't necessarily collaborate on inviting people together. And I think that's a big miss. That's one of them. And then the other sheet that I think is a big miss is this one right here, the last 10 customers worksheet. Now, technically, that's going to change, right? And the reason I like this sheet or these questions is, if I were to have a one-to-one with you, Quentin, then I'm going to send my last 10 customers worksheet and say to you, hey, pick 3 people or 3 folks listed in maybe companies on this sheet, and I will work on an introduction over the next quarter. So one a month, so that we're not over promising or, under whatever, you know what I mean? So we're not overwhelmed. So I think that would be really beneficial. So so let's look at agenda with a reminder. So Ms. Teresa, do you have any other suggestions based on your experience, Ms. Teresa Clayton? Or Ms. Tanya? I don't want to hog the whole thing. Y'all have great ideas as well, the whole lot of you. Okay, you may not be able to unmute. So let's dissect that a little bit then. Let me go over here. I'm going to pull up the power of one. Oops, being a power of one, there it was. So if you want to jot this down, it's going to start playing. So I have to. No, I just took it away. No, there it is. Power of one, power of one. I thought this was really good. Well, I just had it up there. Well, this one was for sure 472. And then let me search that one again. There it is. It was 190 is the power of one. So if you want to listen to that between now and next week, I think that would be huge. And oh, by the way, if you're having, I mentioned this before, let me mute everyone to hear a little background noise. If you're having one-to-ones with folks and they're not exactly how we're discussing them, you might invite them to participate on here. So that they can learn along with you and improve their skills. After all, they are your referral partners. So we might make a short list of folks to say, hey, we're talking about, having more efficient and more effective one-to-ones. Why don't you hop on here? And even someone that is maybe not a current member that you want to build a better relationship with. I did want to pull in BNI Connect, the other thing. Has anyone used this sheet? I'm just wondering. That talks about the last 10 customers worksheet.
Yeah, I've used that, maybe not put their names in and stuff, but to get an idea of who I'm visiting and what I might say, what I might listen for to give a referral.
Yeah, I think it would be huge. And then, so I always talk about when we're in a one-to-one, we're like, oh, wow, we can conquer the world. We get all this stuff that we talk about. But there's no follow up or follow through. So after the meeting, and Teresa, to your point, is setting the expectation for the meeting, but also having the structure and the follow up on the back end. And so where it talks about agreeing on goals. So let's go back up there. Talking about commit and agree on goals. To say, hey, and maybe if they don't bring something to take notes on and you're a note taker, maybe you can say, I'll take notes for us as a way to say, oh, I'm taking notes. I'll take notes and send you what I've heard us, working on, and just keep it very, very simple so that it's easy to follow and not overcommit. So how many of you have actually set some goals and followed up? How did that work? I wanted to pull up another in BNI Connect. When you are, let me close some of these. When you are entering your one-to-ones to record them, did you know that you can put notes in there? Let me log in. Anne Marie, that's great. Send your entire chapter an email and invite them to participate next week. I think that would be good. So when you log into BNI Connect, I thought this was interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to as a director. If you guys could log in and see for me, because I don't think I'll be able to do it this way. Enter 1, 2, oops, one slips. You can actually type notes and go back and print a summary or view a summary. Review slips that you have. There it is. Okay, so on your one-to-one follow-up. So this is in case you haven't completed them. You can go ahead and put that in there. You can put the type of conversation or topics of conversation. So this is a good place to put your notes on what you said you were going to do and what they said they were going to do. It's a good reference, and it's a good point to record, Teresa, like we were talking about, to say, hey, I'm going to put some notes in there on this is what I agreed to do for you, and this is what you agreed to do for me. No, we're not able to, as a director consultant, if we're not in chapters, we're not able to actually do that. We are in the Burr chapter in Antarctica. It's a pretend chapter, but we don't have that function. So we're left out in the cold. So we want to go ahead and complete those. And Tanya, you may try it actually, because they're always updating those kind of things for us. So go ahead and pick that person. But I think, I don't know if, is anyone using that number 6 point, the topics of conversation at all? Anyone? And then you search that person's name and it records under theirs and under yours. Oops, did someone say they were? The chat pops up really quickly. Let's see who said. Oh, she says she's going to try it. Let's see. But I think that's huge. And then you can pull your, let me go down. So you're going to save it, and then that goes under your records, right? So I wanted to pull the report. Let's see, I think it's listed up here. Review the slips, review what you've submitted. So you can go under, and I don't know if any of you have done that, but you can go under review my reports, and you can type whichever you want. But on the one-to-ones, it will certainly pull it. There's the referrals. Let's get down to the one-to-ones. So it's got topics here, right? So you can actually put those notes in there and who it was with. So it's a really good way. And by the way, you can export it. So you could export that out and send it to the person. So I don't know how many words that you can put in there, but I think it's about 1,000. I think. So someone go test that out for me. But I think that would be a really good tool for you to start using so that you can go back and review. So so just kind of to wrap up, that's the overview. We are going to dive into these a little bit more and for each week. So I would highly recommend, if you can, go ahead and listen to the Power of One. Go to Power of One, and then one-to-ones. There it is. It's this one right here. It's going to start again. I'll copy it.
This week's episode of
Who's going to start talking? Let me copy it, you guys.
BombBomb is a video email tool.
Shoot. Okay, I'm going to just text it in here so you guys can find that. And you might, like I said, you might want to invite some folks. Just say, hey, I'm going to participate. Let's really dive in and see how we can help each other. We'll start talking about some collaborative marketing ideas for next week. You know, folks can fill out those forms, I think, or not forms, but get that done in the Gaines profile. So let me find that for you in case you're newer. Let's do Gaines over here. In case you guys weren't aware, there's a whole bunch under the support if you go click the question mark. There we go. Let's give this game. Here's the Gaines. The Gaines worksheets are right here. The Gaines report. So you can go and pull. So let's go over there. So you can see where to put that in. Yeah, and the Gaines is not on the app yet, by the way. It's on the wait list, I believe. So when you go under there, you can see, does anyone have your Gaines? I bet you I know who has theirs completed. Probably all of you that are on here. It's always preaching to the choir on here. Let's see. When I'm logged in, I will find, well, I don't have this function. Dang it, I was going to pull yours, Quentin. I don't have that function as an executive director. It's not hilarious. But if you go and search cross chapter, so if you have a one-to-one cross chapter, you can record that as well. Quentin, can you pull yours up and I'll share or let you have reins this morning? I'm assuming, has everyone complete, Teresa, yours is complete, either one of you would be great.
Let's see.
Someone's asking how to pull the visitor. While you're doing that, I'm going to let you know how to pull the visitor report. So when you log in, it's for a leadership team person, you can go under search. Chapter visitor report. Oh, type in chapter. There's the registration report, the visitor not attended report, but basically you go to, I'll just show you instead of the reports chapter. I have to select your chapter. Cop connectors. You won't see this many reports down here, but chapter visitor report. And you can do the start date whenever you want. I'll just go back to April, end date here. You can search by name or profession, but then it gives you this report. You can export it as well. So those are all in there. If you need that again, then let me know. But like I said, you just go under reports chapter and then chapter visitor report. Okay, Quentin, did you find yours?
I can't.
Or no? Teresa, are you? I just wanted to show everyone the detail.
Figure out how to. Oh, you wanted. Okay, so I can. You were looking for my gains and stuff like that. Okay, if I go up here.
See, I'm not connected to anybody at the bottom.
If I go.
I'll show you. Let me see if I can search for an example of it at least. Well, it's probably under getting started. There we go.
Visitor.
So when you're logged in,
Good grief.
you can go under update profile in my BNI page.
So you're under. Okay.
And under completing your profile, I think.
You're in the landing page and then member profile.
There it is. It would look like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's got my business, your keywords that you put in there. If you guys have not completed yours, you definitely want to go do that and type in your all as much as you can so that I don't know if you realize it, but you want to be found on the public website, right? So having all those things completed will be very helpful. Let me see if I can go in there.
also want to make sure that you have clicked the option to be found on the public website.
Yes, that would be huge. Good. So next week we'll dive in a little bit more and talk about collaborative marketing ideas for your referral partners, and talk a bit more about each one of the worksheets. So if you want to invite one of your referral partners here, and if there's anything in particular that you want me to bring up that needs to be covered, maybe it's a struggle point for that certain person, let's plant some information that might be beneficial. Happy to do that. Just let me know offline what that might look like, and go ahead and get them registered. Sounds great. Thank you, guys. And we are going to talk about some stats on increasing the amount of one-to-ones, the strategy, applying more strategy behind it to get more results. So that'll be on the 3rd week. Very good. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.